If you'd asked me when I started going to college in the later half of 2020 what I would be doing in 5 years from then, I probably would have told you I would have been a bookkeeper, making a decent job. Maybe I would have switched a job or two at that point, but I would have been making decent money. I would have been happy in that position. I would have felt good about myself, and I would just be feeling like I was set for life. But if you'd asked me what my goal was for the next few years when I graduated college in mid-2023, I would have told you that I was very, very worried, concerned, uncertain, and almost kind of hopeless. When I started going to college I think it was the fall semester of 2020, I went to a local community college and I stayed there my whole tenure as a student. I went to get my degree in business administration and associates in business administration. Along the way, I picked up a major in arts, not like the drawing kind, like the writing, humanities, social studies, that kind of arts. And the reason why I ended up picking up arts is because I went to college entirely on a Pell Grant. I think I've said this before, but I mean, like, I grew up dirt poor. Like, I did not have a penny to my name when I started college. I'm not even sure if I had like a bank account or not. I certainly didn't have a credit card. I didn't have a debit card. I didn't have no job. Now, I kind of didn't have a job because two main reasons. I was born with scoliosis, so when I was 13, I had a very extensive spinal fusion, and most of my spine is fused. So I can't just work a normal retail job. Like, I literally cannot. Like, I can't do any of the heavy lifting. I can't stand up for more than like half an hour without needing to sit down. And let's be honest, most corporations or companies or whatever, they're not going to give you accommodations for that kind of shit. If you're not a willing, warm body that can stand the abuse of Walmart or whatever, you're not useful to them at all. But anyway, we had one car at the time, and my oldest sister worked like 60 hours a week, and she was gone like all the time. And I didn't have any place within like a walkable distance that I could actually go get employment at. So that's why I didn't have a job. So I went to college entirely on a Pell Grant, and I was very, very frugal, I would say, with the Pell Grant. I bought used books, anything that I could use, the cheapest options, whatever it was. And I saved all my extra Pell Grant money to buy my first car, to buy the PC I'm recording on, to buy an iPad, and to do a couple other stuff. I got a credit card, I got my driver's license, like I said, I got my car, and I improved my situation extremely drastically over the course for 3 years. But when I got out of college was right around the time that AI started accelerating, its use and presence in the workforce. Now, like I said, I went to college to have an associate's business administration. However, my main focus was to be a bookkeeper. I'd always wanted to be a bookkeeper. My mother was a bookkeeper for quite a while in her career, and that's what I wanted to be. Now, I could have become an accountant, but I took a couple of accounting courses, and I'm like, nah, I just want to be a bookkeeper. I don't want to be too crazy about the numbers, even though I do like money and I do like finances. But when I left college, when I graduated in about mid-2023, like I said, that was when AI was greatly accelerating its presence in the workforce and replacing workers. And when I got out of college, there was not a lot of bookkeeping opportunities. Now, I understand I live in a small southern area, but I do live within like a 30-minute drive between several, I guess, major cities. I'm talking like 20,000 plus people that there was employment available. I noticed very quickly the bookkeeping jobs that were available were asking for like 5 or 10 years of experience, which was at that point impossible for me to have. There was no way I had that. And they were dead serious about that too. Like they dead ass were like, you don't have 10 experience as a bookkeeper and you're not willing to work for $15 an hour, get the fuck out of here, peasant. We don't want to talk to you. Like, they were dead ass serious about that. And the bookkeeping jobs that were available to someone like me were very low pay, run by old boomer farts who ran their shops or businesses or systems like it was still the 1990s. And I worked at one of these places for less than 2 months before I had to quit. The place I worked at was not very safe health-wise, and they also just didn't. The owner, she didn't do stuff like I would hand her paperwork. She had to fill out time. She just wouldn't do it. She wouldn't look at her mail. The systems would constantly go down. Stuff was always lost. They had like 20, 30 credit cards, and nobody knew what was paid on each item. And I wouldn't you get all the bills statements every month or credit card statements every month. So the first month that I truly did the bookkeeping, they told me to just fill in the blanks and guess at what the expenses were and all that stuff. And I'm not going to do that. And I quit. That was the kind of work that was left available to me. And I realized, I would say going into 2024, that I started to feel this feeling of like hopelessness, or like I had wasted my time going to college. Now I do want to say I am one of those people who like constantly think that if I'm not doing something productive, I'm wasting the little time that I have on this earth. Not saying I'm gonna die at like 40 or 50, I hope not. But I realized very early on that or anybody's time on earth is limited, and you gotta make every second of it count in a way, or like at least have fun or get something out of every second that you're doing. And I know that's not a very healthy mindset to have, and I really do try not to think like that, but sometimes I can't help but think like that. And I started to think that during that period where I realized that the career I guess I had studied for in college was no longer viable for someone like me. And that was really I wouldn't say a dark time, but that was a very gray area of my life where I wasn't sure what I had to do, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do or what was going to happen. I mean, of course I knew that AI was only going to get more and more into the workforce, and eventually most bookkeeping is going to be done by AI. And once I had that realization, like when that really set in, I realized, hey, I went to college to go be in the career that is literally going to be replaced by AI at some point. I don't think it's going to be within the next few years, but I think by 2030 that like most of that stuff's going to be done by AI. And honestly, when I had that realization, I kind of laughed and like, damn, all these people that said just go learn the code, just go learn to be a programmer, all that stuff. I wonder what they're going to say next, because all these people that went to go learn coding are being affected far worse than my career or my potential career would have been. It's impossible, I feel like, to get an actual good coding job nowadays. If it's not done by AI, they're paying like peasant wages, you know? But I had that realization, and it took me a little bit to fully come to terms with it. It was almost like a grieving process. Like I had to admit the career I really wanted to go after was going to be non-viable. I personally felt like within like 5 years or so. After that, I decided, well, I can't just, twiddle my thumbs about it. I gotta do something. So I actually stopped applying for bookkeeping jobs, and in the meantime, I had a part-time job at a gym just to pay the bare minimum of bills I had, and I hated working there. But that's a whole other story for another time. But I pivoted from looking for bookkeeping jobs to receptionist jobs, because when I went to college, I worked as a receptionist for, I would say, well over a year and a half, maybe even close to 2 years. It was still hard to get a job like that too. I eventually had the personally reach out to a business, which turned out to be the health agency I work at currently. But I'm very happy at this place. But I still do think about the future a lot. At this point, I have accepted that I'm not going to probably be a bookkeeper. And honestly, at this point, I'm kind of like, I don't want to be. Because once I realized things were going to happen outside of my control, the labor force is going to change outside of my control. Nobody's going to put a cap on AI. Let's be real. These corporations, they love AI because they don't have to pay them, okay? Or they have to pay them very little, and they're not real people, so they don't have to deal with their real people problems. And it's only going to get worse. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have to do what I want then, because what they told us in high school, go to college, get a good education, and then you get a good job, and then you're set. That literally doesn't work. That's not real. That maybe it was a lie all along, or maybe it was true at the time, and it evolved to being obsolete advice as we got older, and nobody told us. We had to find out for ourselves. Once I had that realization, it was almost like a freeing moment, because I realized I'm not bound to these rules anymore. Like the career I wanted to be in, that I went to college for, and everybody told me to go to college for because it was a profitable career. It's not there anymore, really, at least for someone like me. So I have to do stuff outside the box. And at that moment, I started like getting ideas of what I could do. I could, focus into my writing. I could do content creation. I could do music. It was almost like a veil had been lifted. And then I realized, like, hey, as long as I'm feeding myself and paying my bills and not doing anything illegal, of course, I could do whatever the fuck I want. And that coincided with my frontal lobe turning one day. It was at the end of April. I had not been 25 for even a month yet, and I felt my frontal lobe finally turn on. And let me tell you something, if you're younger than 20, just a myth. Your frontal lobe doesn't turn on when you're 20. Yes, the fuck it does. You will have a moment when you are 25 and you will feel the neurons in your brains activating, the synapses in your brains connecting, and you will become a new person instantaneously. I was walking in for an evening shift at the gym I was working at, and I felt my frontal lobe turn on, and I was like, oh my god, I'm 25. And I had two thoughts right after. One, what the fuck am I doing? I'm 25 years old. If I live to be 100, a quarter of my life is going. I feel I'm wasting my time. Secondly, oh my god, I'm 25, my frontal lobe just turned on, I'm unstoppable. I felt that in that moment. Like, I wasn't stupid. I didn't immediately, like, quit my job, even though I really wanted to. But I went home that evening, and I literally created my channel that evening. This channel, Florida Swamp Cat. I went to Canva, and I made the profile picture for my channel. I named it, I set it up, I set up an email, and I decided that I was just gonna do what I wanted to do. And I did it. And that was genuinely the most life-changing moment that I had. Because afterwards, I kind of just sat back, and I was like, I really just did that. Like, I did that. It was so easy. After that, I felt like the floodgates in my brain really opened up. Because it was like, wow, if I can do that, I can do anything. And now I can say that I actually do make content on YouTube. Is it the best? No. Am I still learning? Yes. But I've improved. I feel like, at least minutely, I've upgraded from silent gameplay to actually speaking and editing a little bit. I've got plans for this year. In my new resolution video, I said I wanted to declutter my whole space and then start storage units. And I'm getting to that. I've got some stuff out here. It's always gonna be a work in progress for the next few months. But if you are a Gen Z person and you feel like I have, you get out of college, whatever life circumstance happened, and you can't go to college, or you go to college and you realize that, or you go to college, and let's say you know you're going into computer science or programming or coding, you start, and then while you're in college, all this AI stuff starts to take over, and you have this dawning realization that your career, you might as well go home now because you're not going to get a job anywhere. I fully understand how you feel because I felt like that too. I honestly encourage you, if you do feel like that, to take a moment, take some time to yourself, take a day off from work or class or whatever, and really just stop and go look around. You know, maybe go out in nature, or just take a walk somewhere, and just, or go sit on your porch or wherever, and just think for a while. No technology, no music, no nothing. Just go and think about truly what can you do when plan A fails, because you never realize how much you need a plan B until plan A fails, or you're looking at plan A's imminent failure. And I can tell you right now, it's a very hurricane-prone area. You hear from meteorologists, you know, like during that time of year when hurricane season about to start, like, oh, make your hurricane preparations and your hurricane safety plans now. And most people are like, yeah, we don't need that. We've been through hurricanes all our life. We don't need that. But then when a major hurricane comes and they gotta evacuate, they're running to the store, they're buying bread and milk. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They don't know what they're doing. They're driving, or, you know, when they actually have to evacuate, they start driving somewhere and they don't know where they're going. They're panicking. They don't know where to look for information or how to follow the hurricane evacuation signs on the road. You never, ever, ever know when you are actually going to need a backup plan, which is why I plan ahead and like have 3 plans off to the side in case plan A fails, but then I completely forget what those 3 plans are. But I do understand if you are waking up and realizing that whatever career you're going for, you know, maybe not even if it's impacted by AI, or if it's just, you know, like falling out of fashion, or if you realize that you are not going to make a profit in this career, whatever situation you may find yourself in. It's okay to feel, you know, hopeless and helpless and lost and confused for a little bit. And, you know, I encourage you to embrace those feelings in a sense. Not let them overwhelm you, but embrace them and then put it aside and then figure out what your next steps are. Because life doesn't always go how you think it's gonna go, because nothing in life is predictable. But that's going to be it for me today. I just felt like yapping for a bit. If you liked the content, leave a like, leave a comment. If you didn't, that's fine. I don't mind either way. I just post content that I want to post, and that'll be it for me today. So have Have a good day, y'all. Stay warm.